welcome to my class. My name is Nicole Phillip, and I'm a student at Broward College. We're going to start off today's session by talking about our classroom rules and procedures. In this class, we're going to use our looking eyes, our listening ears, a quiet mouth, helping hands, and walking feet. And of course, if we do use our virtual platform, I want your mics to be muted, be on time, turn on your video camera so the same way you can see me, I can see you. Come prepared, raise your hand, and be respectful. The population of this classroom is made up of 6 students. Demographically, we have 3 boys and 3 girls, 1 Hispanic student, 1 Caucasian student, and 4 African American students. There are 3 8th graders, 2 9th graders, and 1 10th grader. The students are biologically between the ages of 13 and 15 years old. The students in this class are nonverbal, non-ambulatory, meaning wheelchair-bound, and medically fragile. This is an I&D class. All the students in this class are profoundly intellectually disabled. So, next we're going to talk about our eligibility levels. My students all receive physical therapy and occupational therapy. 5 students of the 6 receive language therapy. The learning profiles of the students include cognitively, the students perform to the intellectual equivalent of 3-month-olds to 11-month-olds. So 3 of the students need support to complete work. Adapted students can complete adapted work tasks with moderate physical prompts. And the other 3 students are engaged on a participatory level in adaptive work tasks with maximum physical prompts. Let's get started. Let's take a moment to say goodbye to summer. Goodbye, summer. We are in September, and it's time for a new season. We already took a moment to say goodbye to summer. Did we all enjoy our summer? Today we're going to learn about a new season. And in America, we know it as fall. I'll give you that much of a hint.
Autumn is here again. Leaves are falling everywhere. Yellow, red and brown. Leaves are falling on the ground. Apples in the basket, pumpkins in the box. Apples in the basket, pumpkins in the box. The trees are brown, it's autumn again. It's autumn. The clouds are gray, it's autumn again. It's autumn. Leaves in the air, it's autumn again. It's autumn. One more time. One more time again. It's autumn. Squirrels in the park, a big umbrella and my hat. Pumpkins for Halloween. I can see my friends jumping leaves. Apples in the basket, pumpkins in the box. Apples in the basket, pumpkins in the box. The trees are brown, it's autumn again.
So we just heard our autumn song. So let's say goodbye to summer and welcome autumn back into the picture. Because we live in sunny South Florida, we rarely ever get to experience the change of the seasons. It's usually sunny here or raining. What we need to know about autumn. What is autumn, first of all? Autumn is definitely the home to the birds. September, October, November, and December. In autumn, the leaves are starting to change color. They're going to go from green to red or orange or yellow and then brown before they fall. Its major holidays are usually Halloween and Thanksgiving. The animals usually start to prepare for migration before it gets cold in fall. So a perfect example of that would be the monarchs that migrate from the US to Mexico. And a lot of the common things that we harvest in the fall and autumn are pumpkins, apples, and corn. We're going to read the story, Apples and Pumpkins. Stay tuned. Before we get into reading the story, Apples and Pumpkins, we're going to go over something very important. That topic is called context clues. So you may be asking yourself, what is a context clue? Context clues are what readers use to figure out the meaning of a word that they may not know by using the words in the sentence that come before and after the word you don't understand. So you use those same clues to find the meaning. We're going to watch a short video on context clues, and then we're going to get into the awesome story of Apples and Pumpkins by Anne Rockwell.
My teacher told me to read the story. I got stuck on a word on page 1. I wasn't sure exactly what to do, but I wasn't having any fun. My teacher gave me some brilliant advice when she said to read the rest of the stuff. I suddenly understood what that mystery word meant, and I no longer had to feel stuck. It's not so tough, use the context. It's not so rough, use your clues. It's not so tough, use the context. It's not so rough, use your clues. Sometimes the clues come as examples, sometimes they come as synonyms. Sometimes the clues tell just the opposite, sometimes they're even definitions. It's not so tough, use the context. It's not so rough, use your clues.
Apples and Pumpkins by Anne Rockwell and illustrated by Lizzie Rockwell. When red and yellow leaves are on the trees, we go to Comstock Farm to pick apples and pumpkins. Mr. Comstock gives us a bushel basket to put our apples in. Geese and chickens and a big fat turkey walk with us on our way to the orchard where the apples grow. My father picks apples. My mother does too. I climb into a little apple tree and pick the reddest apple of all. When our basket is full of red and shiny apples, we go to the field where the pumpkins grow. I look and look until I find the best pumpkin of them all. My father cuts it from the vine, and I carry it back to the car. At home, we carve a jack-o'-lantern face on our big orange pumpkin, and we put a candle inside and light it. Now our pumpkin looks scary and funny too. On Halloween night, we put our pumpkin on the doorstep, and my mother gives away lots of our red and shiny apples for trick-or-treaters. Ooh, look at those costumes. Well, I go trick-or-treating up and down our street. Wow, wasn't that a great story about apples and pumpkins? Has anyone ever tried apple or pumpkin before? Apples grow on trees, as you saw, and pumpkins grow on the ground. Now let's go over some very important vocabulary. We're going to start off by talking about grow. We have grow over here. As you can see, they go from small to big, like an apple growing on a tree. Then we have some over here. So there's a little bit of those red squares, some red squares. Over here we have the color red. What color are apples? Red. Next we have the word apple. We just read about apples in the story. The next word we have is seed. Seeds are where apples and pumpkins grow from. The next word we have is pie. You can make apples into pie and pumpkin into pie. Pumpkin pie is my favorite. Next we have tree. Tree is where the apples grow. And we have some more colors over here. We have the color green, like the leaves on a tree, and the color yellow, what those green leaves turn into. And that's right before they fall. The next word is make. See the little guy with his hammer? He's making something. So you can use those same apples and pumpkins to make something really cool, like apple pie or pumpkin pie. So next we have the word pumpkin. Pumpkins have lots of uses. They have seeds. You can eat them. You can turn them into jack-o'-lanterns like we saw in the story. How cool. Then we have the word juicy. That's a word to describe the way a fruit is or food is. So in this case, we would talk about an apple being juicy. And then we have yummy. Everybody loves yummy food. Ooh, something else you can make with apples is applesauce. Applesauce, and that's nice and soft. And sometimes people put cinnamon in it. And last but not least, one of the coolest vocabulary words I would say this week is juice. You can make juice out of almost anything. I wouldn't suggest it, but I had carrot juice and celery juice and apple juice. I believe there's pumpkin juice in Harry Potter World. Haven't tried it yet, but it's on my list. So after everything we read and we learned about this week, the main question is, what is autumn? Autumn is one of the 4 seasons that falls in between summer and winter. Autumn is the home to birds, as we learned earlier, like September, October, November, and December. The leaves are starting to change in autumn, and that's another reason why we call it fall, because they fall off of the trees. And animals are starting to migrate. Migrate means to travel. The colors of fall include red, orange, yellow, green, and brown. Just like we have the new vocabulary words of red, yellow, and green. Some of the main things harvested in this season are corn, apples, and pumpkins. After learning so much about apples and autumn and the seasons today, I think we should visit an apple orchard and pick some apples on a field trip. Let's go!
We're here at the Apple Orchard in Hamilton, Ontario. It's a beautiful day. I'm so excited to go look around and pick some apples. Let's go. To the orchard. We're going the right way. Look. This place is so fun. These are the apples that they have for picking today. Honeycrisp, Gala, Ginger Gold, Royal Court, Cortland, and Max. Let's find these apples in the orchard. Come on.
Ooh.
A wagon and a tractor. Let's go for a wagon ride. Cortland apples. That was on the sign, so we can pick these. Let's go try them.
What an awesome field trip to the apple orchard. So far, we learned about so much in the season of autumn. So what we know is that autumn falls in between summer and winter. And then we're going to experience some weather changes. Some animals and insects cannot survive the winter time, so they need to migrate during autumn. And one of those animals, which we talked a little teeny tiny bit about before, was the monarch butterfly. Monarchs migrate or travel from the north to the super south. And for them, that would be Mexico. It's a very long journey, but let's join them on their final destination. So as you can see, 1 billion butterflies usually end up in Mexico after they migrate before winter and autumn. And we're lucky enough that we get to see a 360 view. Look at all of those butterflies. We can look all the way up. We can look down. Wow. Look at this branch over here. There's so many monarchs on this tree. Wow. So now I want you to think about the question at the bottom. What other animals migrate in the autumn time? Today we went on a lot of epic adventures and we learned a lot. We learned about context clues, autumn, migration, crops, but we're not done yet. We still have plenty of activities listed for you. If you follow me onto this next page, we're going to go through the follow-up activities. Okay, so we have 3 activities listed. Activity number 1 is going to be the answer question on the National Geographic 360 monarch migration video that we saw. And on there, you can move it around, and the question is listed at the bottom in that same orange box. Number 2, I have the Read News to You story, and it's all about autumn and fall, and it also pairs up with your vocabulary. And that way you can use your vocabulary words to understand them in context. Activity number 3, you're going to effectively use your nonverbal language such as proximity, eye gaze, eye contact, gestures, posture with that vocabulary. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the News to You story. Autumn starts during the month of September. September, October, and November are autumn months. Autumn is the season between summer and winter. The temperatures become cooler. The leaves may change colors. Autumn is also a time for harvest. Farmers gather crops during harvest. Autumn crops include pumpkins, squash, and apples. People celebrate the harvest with festival.